Welcome, welcome. I'm Lexi with the Wilford Woodruff Papers Foundation, and I'm here on BYU's campus with Steve Harper, our executive editor. Steve, thank you so much for having me here in your office.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Lexi.
I love this view, the beautiful mountains.
It's great.
Snow top.
I hardly get any work done.
I bet, especially when I come and bother you in your office.
It's fun to have you here.
Well,
we're excited to.
Thank you. And I am excited because I'm here for an announcement. Tell me, what is today? What is so exciting?
Well, today the Wilford Woodruff Papers Foundation is announcing to the whole world that we're holding a conference. It's going to be at BYU on March 4th. March 1st is Wilford Woodruff's birthday, and every year we try to commemorate that. This year we're going to do it on March 4th here at the Hinckley Building on campus at BYU to celebrate building Latter-day Faith based on the Wilford Woodruff Papers.
I love that. So a conference based on building Latter-day Faith through the writings and teachings of Wilford Woodruff.
Right.
Now, people who come to the conference, how are they going to have their faith built?
Well, there's a lot of things for them to do: hear, learn, see, touch, taste, feel, smell, and eat.
Great.
Right? So, got to be nourished. There'll be lunch. We can talk more about that in a minute. But primarily, what we're going to have is a wonderful place for people to come early. 11 o'clock we'll start. They can come and get registered. They can see the exhibits. There'll be a bunch of Wilford Woodruff's documents and other things there, some of his artifacts. We're going to have some original artworks there. We can talk more about that. And then the backbone of it will be some fantastic speakers.
That's great. So speakers, so people can come and be edified, inspired. Who are the speakers?
Well, I am really thrilled to tell everybody that our keynote speaker at this conference is going to be Laurel Thatcher Ulrich. She was a history professor at Harvard University. I think she was the first woman ever tenured in Harvard's history department. She won the Pulitzer Prize for history. That is a big deal. She is great. She is really skilled and knowledgeable. I admire so much her ability to see things other people can't see. And I'm just grateful for her books. The one she's written most recently is based largely on Wilford Woodruff's writings and the world in which he lived. So she's going to be speaking to us about her fantastic work. I would camp out overnight to listen to her speak, and especially on this topic.
I've heard so many great things about Laurel. I cannot wait to hear her speak and to meet her in person. Who else will be there?
Well, Stephen Wheelwright is going to speak to us as well. He was a Harvard Business School professor and administrator there, and called away from that to preside over BYU Hawaii.
So neat.
He's presided over the Temple in Boston. He is a terrific supporter of the Wilford Woodruff Papers Project, knowledgeable about these things. He's going to speak about Wilford Woodruff as a missionary. BYU history professor Amy Harris is going to speak about the British context of Wilford Woodruff's mission. She's a fantastic expert in that and has a really skillful way of giving a talk that rivets you to what she's saying.
You were showing me one of her last ones.
Yeah.
So exciting. I can't wait to see what she titles this one.
It'll be exciting for sure. We've got several students who are going to speak. Some of our really excellent students who've contributed to the Papers Project are going to speak to us. We can talk more about them if you want.
Yeah, so I know that we had a call for papers that a number of people could enter, share what they were learning about Wilford Woodruff. Tell us about that.
We did. We sent out an invitation for people to do original research and work on Wilford Woodruff using his papers, and we had several responses to that. We picked the cream of the crop, and that includes Ellie Hancock, who's a historian for the Papers Project, a recent BYU history graduate with a very bright future. She's going to talk to us about persecution and British missionary work.
And there's so much persecution today.
Yeah.
Fits right in.
Yeah, it's a fascinating past that she's going to highlight for us. Hovan Lawton has worked with the project before. He's a graduate student in history now, and he's going to speak to us about what he learned about the patterns of missionary work. In the 1890s, Wilford Woodruff received hundreds and hundreds of letters from people who were answering mission calls. And there's just beautiful patterns that emerge from those. He's going to talk to us about the sacrifices these missionaries made in the world that they did their missions in. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. One of the most exciting presentations is going to be Joshua Matson's.
Wonderful.
he's a fantastic scholar of the ancient world, but long before he did that, he wrote a senior honors thesis here at BYU, and he decoded the symbols in Wilford Woodruff's journals. People may know that Wilford encoded a lot of information in his journals with little symbols. He'd make little hands facing this way to signify letters he wrote, and hands facing this way to signify letters he received. Those are interesting, but they're not as interesting as the symbols he made in his journal on days when Joseph Smith was giving him temple ordinances, for example. I'm eager to hear what Josh is going to tell us about decoding the symbols in Wilford Woodruff's journals.
That is so neat. And there are so many symbols in his journals.
Lots and lots.
So we are going to be edified at the conference by speakers, and you mentioned food.
Yeah, there's going to be free lunch, I understand, which is another reason I would camp overnight.
Same with many of the BYU students.
That's right. I hope they'll all come.
Okay, that's great. And when you arrive, you can look at artifacts from Wilford Woodruff, and you see some art. And there's an art contest. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, an art contest. This was a great idea. Was this your idea, Lexi?
I hear it is, but I don't know whose idea it was.
It was a great idea. I hadn't thought of it. I've been to a lot of these history papers conferences, but never with the component of inviting people to present original artworks. And it sounds like we've got a variety of work that's going to be there available for us to look at.
It can be visual art, whether it's 2D or 3D, or literary arts and performing arts. So my realm is dance, and so I'm planning on entering a dance to show something from Wilford Woodruff that I've been inspired, and how my faith is being built through his teachings.
I love that. And our classes here at BYU quite a bit. Over the last few years, we've realized that when we give students a chance to do a creative project, to do something other than just a history paper, they really engage with history in a meaningful way to them. A dance, a podcast, and I'm excited to see what people will create inspired by Wilford Woodruff's papers.
They're all due February 1st, so I better get busy. And if you want to enter, you better get busy too.
I better learn some art. I don't think I'll be qualified to do that, but my wife would do something fantastic.
Yeah. And that is open for high school, college, pre-professionals, really anyone who is interested in sharing art based on Wilford Woodruff.
Terrific.
This sounds like such an exciting event. I know I'm excited. Who is all invited? Who should be marking their calendars?
Everybody on the planet is invited. And we realize that we're here in Utah Valley, but we hope people will come. Especially, we realize it'll be easier to get to if you're nearby. So 30,000 BYU students, we hope will show up. That might overwhelm us, but there's limited free lunch.
So register soon to make sure that you get your...
Register right away if you want free lunch.
Yes.
How do they do that? What do they need to do?
All the information is on our website, 2023.wilfordwoodruffpapers.org. You can find all information about the speakers, about lunch, about the arts contest, the schedule for the day, and of course registration.
Terrific.
And if there's any questions, then you're welcome to email conference@wilfordwoodruffpapers.org.
All right.
Okay, I am excited about this. I hope that we didn't forget anything that we were going to tell everyone about. And I want to just inspire everybody, give them a little sneak peek of what they could find out about Wilford Woodruff. I know you are full of Wilford Woodruff stories that have inspired you. Do you want to share one of your favorites with everyone?
Sure. There are a lot of great ones. Some of them are little known. Some of them are funny. And those are fun, but I'm especially excited by excuse me by the revelations, right? When there's a new revelation, that is what I gravitate to in my studies. And Wilford Woodruff was present at the creation in some ways of some really fascinating stuff. He received temple ordinances in the Kirtland Temple. He received the ordinances of the temple that we received today before the temple in Nauvoo was even finished. So he writes and records in his journal these really sacred experiences. My favorite one is a January 1844 entry in his journal where he gives us this really elaborate heart graphic and some intricate stuff with it, and then records the most sacred day of his life.
through symbols, is that
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and he writes the entry out as well and tells us the beautiful sealing blessings that he and Phoebe received together. It's a day that started off sort of traumatic. It was freezing cold outside, well below zero. He says they brought a pot of charcoal in to try to warm the house up, and it smoked the house up,
Wow.
made them sick. They went back to bed, and their little girl, Phoebe Amelia, fell out of her chair and smashed her face and bled. So this day that starts out, like a family day might,
Yeah, like
ends with these spectacularly sacred and powerful ordinances that lead to exaltation. That's the kind of thing that you find in Wilford's records, and they're unsurpassed. They're extremely valuable sources of sacred knowledge, and we're thankful to everybody who makes it possible for the Wilford Woodruff Papers to publish them to the whole world.
Well, that's such a great story, and I know there's going to be so much more shared at the conference. Again, that was March 4th, and registration is open now. Get registered to make sure you get your seat, get your free lunch, and if you're a student, there's scholarships available. You can find out more information on the website and register at 2023.wilfordwoodruffpapers.org. Again, if you have any questions, reach out at conference@wilfordwoodruffpapers.org. And get out your phones right now or your calendars and mark March 4th.
It's going to be great. Thanks, Lexi.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking some time to meet with me and all of our followers today and make this great announcement.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Okay.